here, right? So when you got something like this, that's not so bad. So you got this thing, it popped up. Now it's come back. It's retested 17 quite a few times, right? Retested 17 quite a few times. So that's good. Dun, 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 dun. Good, good, good. So now it's retested, retested, retested over here. So if this thing breaks over 18, I think you've got yourself a nice, easy-go-lucky kind of spot on this one. So test, test, test. Good eye. I'm going to flag that myself and add it to the list, Carrie. I like that one. Good. So let's move that one up to the top of the list. I will put that in. Hold on here, man. I will put that one number 4 under NVIDIA. Hey, Martin, how you doing, buddy? So that one looks pretty good. Good, 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 good. Morning, everybody. What's going on? Market's gapping up quite a bit this morning. We got over 1 point over here. We're going to be retesting kind of these highs over here. Prognosis, motherfucker. What's going on? So this one looks pretty good right now. That's going to be an awesome, we got an awesome thing going over here on the markets. Now, the tricky part's going to be when you get a gap like that, it's hard to just chase it up, right? It's hard to just chase it up and kind of chase the gap. So what you want to be doing when you look at the, the market is see how it opens at the open. Does the market look like it's going to ORB, or is it going to pull back a little bit? Oftentimes what we see in the QQQs is you get the gap up, and then you start to pull back to the 9 EMA or 20 EMA, and you start to round, and then you go, right? So for me personally, I don't like chasing the market up during those type of things. Just never a good thing. Just let me take a look at your ACST. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky because you've already been on day 1, day 2, day 3 of the run, and then today could be an exhaustion gap. This thing very well could go green to red, so I'd be a little bit careful on that one. This sin completely reversed yesterday. When that happens, almost always, right, the gaps get faded off on something like that, so you're going to have to be careful. You may want to be something like this. Like for me personally, if I got a big pop on it, I'd be almost looking to fade this thing. Mr. Ramos, ¿qué pasa? ¿Cómo está usted? Bien, bien. Yo tengo huevos. My friend, what's going on? All right, so let's take a look at the watch list over here. We got this calm breaking down. If it stays under this 44 level, I think we can look at this for potential ORBs. This Cowan is actually busting out of this kind of yearly breakout over here. It's got 27 million share float. Maybe worth a shot to take a look at something like this, especially if you can get over this 1821. If it stays under 1831, I'm not looking at this one, right? I take a pass. It's got to break out for me to be wanting to be interested in it. Kron is making a nice move. So Kron has been lagging behind some of the other pot names, right? So like this one had this big push to 16, came back into like a little wedge. You started building some support over here, and now you're starting to break over these 2 moving averages in this trend line. So this is what we'd call a sympathy play or a trailer, we could say. And so now that it's kind of holding this 12, this one's got good liquidity. It's not extended. If you look at like something like an IGC, it's really extended right now. Like this is not on my list today. I take a pass on something like this once you get into this, because this thing started to run at 2, and now you're getting into these like 8s. For me, that's a no-go. It's already completely outside its upper Bollinger Band, so it's going into a straight up like rubber band setup, right? And so at that point, it's just a no-go for me. It's too extended. NBEV does look pretty good though. You had this nice base over here. You're kind of cracking over this 5 into the close. My worry on this one is it's going to be testing that lower Bollinger Band. I will not chase this thing on the gap up. It's got to pull back to support. So I'll look for this thing to pop up and then kind of pull back to that 9 EMA. See if it starts to round. I hate chasing these things up. I think the better play on a stock like an NBEV when it gaps up is like kind of like how we did it on Friday. You'll see this thing gap up here. See that? And then it pulls back to your MAs and it starts to round. When it starts to round and hold, it starts to build up that energy, a little bit of steam. and then it can go, right? But you don't want to just chase it like right off into the push because, well, first of all, it's going to be extended. It's going to be hitting into a level of supply in terms of the Bollinger Band. So it's better to kind of come back, build up a little bit of tension, and then let this thing fire off. And so, you know, it looks okay, but remember that it's already up like 30%, right? And so you can't just chase this thing right off into the bat because, man, like, you know, you chase, you die, right? That's the nature of trading. You chase, you die. So you got to let it come back, see if it starts to settle like it did on Friday, and then you can come in and do that. TROI, same type of deal. This thing never, if you chase it on strength, man, I've done it a few times, man. If you chase it on strength, it never works. Like, you got to hit those deeper pullbacks on this thing. It is gapping up, but frankly, like, this is going to be a dead cat bounce most likely. You know, you may have a little bit more upside into this, but most likely it's like it's never going to get back to, you know, 300. It's just not going to be the nature of the game. I still got AMRN on the list. This thing had an awesome close on Friday. It's got good liquidity. It's got good volume. You can see kind of you took out that range that it had been building up. You know, same type of deal. So AMRN has a bigger float. You want to always hit this thing on dips. If you're trying to chase AMRN on strength, always dumps back because that's the nature of a higher float stock. When you get a higher float stock with big volume, you want to be hitting them into the dips. You'll see this all the time with these kind of higher float stocks where they come back to the VWAP and then they go, right? And so that's the kind of plays that you want to look on this bad boy. NVIDIA is looking zesty, right? You kind of came out of this range on Friday. It had a 13-point move. Same type of deal. NVIDIA's got a heavy float, 500 million. So what you want to always be doing, what I always wait for on a stock like this, right? Let it pull back, like have a deep, like meaningful pullback. And then once it holds, then we can go, right? Like a stock like NVIDIA, 580 million share float. You don't want to chase this on some 1 minute chart like a piker, right? We want to get those deeper pullbacks to support, let that thing hold. Exxon looks pretty good over here, right? You've got an 18 break. Look at the 30-minute chart over here. 18's your trigger, right? If you got TC2000, you can just set yourself an alert and let that thing go, and now you're good to go, right? So just something to kind of keep an eye on. I got Twilio over here for an 88 breakout. You can see here on the 30-minute chart, it's been really testing that 88 for a while. It did wick out of it for a hot second, but then it's come back into the range. We'll see today, right, with the market gapping up, the market strength, it may just bust out of there again. But don't chase this bad boy. Sin's for hoes, bros. Sin is no good, right? This thing gave the whole game back. So at this point, it dropped from 8 to 2. Unless you're looking at this for a potential short, it's a no-go for me because when you get something like this that drops like that, I mean, that's a 75, 80% drop in an hour, right? Something drops 80% an hour. Do you really want to trust this thing to the long side? We had some good trades on it on Friday. You know, we hit this thing in the chat room right down into here, and we kind of sold into the spike, but thank God, because this thing just dumped. Always use your stop losses on these kind of things. SQ's been a good daily trader for us. Still got this on the watch list. Will not chase a gap on SQ either. At 283 million share float, SQ's always better on dips, right? But it's got a really, really good range. Look, some of you guys right now are probably, you know, you see all these small cap stocks running around and you're just thinking small cap bonanza heaven. Remember, the small caps, they go both ways, right? Sometimes when you're nailing them and they're hot, you're making all this money, but just as many times they drop and you lose lots of money, which is one of the reasons that, you know, over the years, I very rarely trade them unless it's just the only thing to trade because they're just less predictable. When you get Angie over here, woof, Angie's got a nice look to it over here too. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests of that 24. This thing is looking zesty also. And then I added this B Core to the list also. You got a breakout over here as long as it hangs over 40. We got this thing good to go. Yeah, and there are some other kind of random stocks that are gapping up and stuff like Tesla and stuff. But for me, Tesla's gapping up into resistance here. That's just a no-go for me, right? Because it's like, it's just in a long-term range. And now it's just getting into the middle of the range. So that's what we call a penis in between us, right? You don't have, you're not on support, and you're not at breakout. And so when you get something like that, not my cup of tea, right? And yeah, there's all sorts of little things kind of gapping around and stuff, but these are my focus lists. This is how I like to do it because I want clean plays. The thing with AKRX and INFN, those little guys, they're going to have SSR on it. With the SSR on it, the price of them and the level of gap, they're going to be, most likely, they squeeze and you've got to hit a fizzle on it. Okay? On an AKRX, that thing will be a good short, but only on a VWAP fizzle, right? If you short it into the hole with the SSR on it, you're not going to, you could get squeezed. So just something to remember. As always, guys, it's Monday, Manic Monday. So let's go out and do what we got to do. As always, go out and do what we got to do. Guys, if you're having fun with this stuff, make sure to give me a thumbs up on this bad boy. As always, you're welcome to come into the chat room, have a little fun with us. We've been shredding it last week. We got a lot of stuff to do. Big week ahead of us. Market breaking out. Nothing better than that. The market's been stuck in a range for a while. If this market can break out, the plays are going to just be a lot cleaner. So we're going to have a lot of action on this market. So let's go out and do what we got to do. As always, peace.